Guys, I've been saying this for the last 3 weeks I've sat here. There seems to be something every single day about Brexit, and in layman's terms, I just think people wake up every morning and go, what's the reality?
I know, and the reality is we're not there, and you've got another 18 months of this to go before it actually happens. But there are just ludicrous claims that'll make the world a safer place. No, it won't.
What is the thinking behind the claim?
Yeah,
I think the thinking is that if countries trade with each other, they're less likely to go to war. We trade with the rest of the world now. I don't think there's any bit we don't trade. We even have relations, very slim, with North Korea. So it's just utterly ludicrous to make that claim.
Well, Kevin is right to a certain extent. As always, I think, as regular GMB
nice
viewers
to hear that.
will know. So there is a good argument that says if countries have strong links by trade, then they're going to be far less likely to want to go to war with each other. The problem is, well, no one will really disagree with that, is getting there. Can you get countries to agree on precisely what it is they want to trade with each other? Will they buy each other's steel? Will they dump each other's steel, etc.? So it's the details that cause all the problems. And that's precisely where we've got to with Brexit talks, which is why David Davis is now beginning to make some quite rude noises towards the EU and the EU's chief negotiator, Michel Barnier, because he is blaming Barnier for the slowness of pace rather than the EU's or the UK's position.
So meanwhile, it looks like Philip Hammond and Michael Gove maybe should start trading to make up, because apparently they're at war with each other over fishing.
Well, they are indeed. You might have read this in a certain newspaper I write for this morning.
It's your exclusive.
It is indeed my exclusive.
How about that? We are well prepared.
But it's not a world exclusive, just an exclusive.
Thank you for reading my paper.
The sun and the mirror are fighting. It's an exclusive for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one Kevin hasn't got, but I don't want to rub it in.
Well, he just
rejected it, you know.
This is the latest in probably 5 or 6 different cabinet rows going on over the summer.
And all centred on Philip Hammond, interestingly.
Well, it's not actually. Philip Hammond is the point man for the slightly more softer Brexit side of the cabinet, what used to be called the Remain side of the cabinet, and everything does, I'm afraid, get landed on his shoulders. He gets backed up in cabinet by people like Amber Rudd, the Home Secretary, but he is very much the man who is prepared to speak up. And Michael Gove is on the other side of this, who's the Environment Secretary, and it's all about fishing quotas. So when we leave the EU, we'll get our fishing rights back. We'll decide who comes into our waters, not anybody else. Philip Hammond wants to give this away as a negotiating pawn to the EU, because the EU are desperate to still come into our waters because we've got quite a lot of them, and he thinks we'll get huge concessions back on single market and customs.
And Gove's saying, no, you're not having our fish.
And Gove said, this is a totemic issue. I got everyone to vote for Brexit by talking about getting our fishing rights back.
This is the ludicrous position the government is in, and why it will have difficulty in the negotiations with Michel Barnier. And they can blame him as much as they like, but if the cabinet are all asking for different things, and you go into negotiations and you've got this Tower of Babel, lots of people shouting different things, we want this, no, I want that, we'll give this away, no, no, we won't. How are you really going to get a good Brexit deal for Britain?
Quick question before we move on. These were always going to be negotiations. This has been going on for 18 months. Maybe they should be less public, because almost, as I say, every single day, and everybody jumps up and down, maybe it should be done in private. Can I move on to